About a 14-year-old, jump shot is pretty good. Maybe someday Mike Cook will have a jump shot that's good enough to get him into the starting lineup at Gonzaga High School. But if that doesn't happen, that's okay. Mike Cook has learned to get his priorities in order the hard way. Let's go! At 14, Mike Cook is right where he wants to be, playing his game at his school. Cook is a freshman at Gonzaga High School with one eye on the ball and the other on his favorite college team.
Since I was 7, I wanted to play for North Carolina. But I mean, I was happy to be able to play at Gonzaga, WCAC conference.
But this young life has been turned upside down. Before he cracked open his first book at Gonzaga, Cook noticed something was wrong. When he discovered a lump, he knew he had to see a doctor. It was a time in his life that Mike Cook will never forget.
It was late, like the last week of August. I had just gone actually to my first football tryout, and then I had felt the mass. I had known it was there, but when I went in, they had just done like some kind of test to see what it was, and then they got the test results, and they found out it was a tumor.
I was shocked. My father died of cancer, so I just, couldn't believe that a son of mine, 14-year-old, had to go through this.
Soon there would be the regimen that every cancer patient comes to know. Chemotherapy, good days and bad days, ups and downs. But what happened next was the most important part. For it's not what life deals you that's important. The important part is how you handle it.
Looking back on what from August, I mean, it's a tremendous inspiration. I tell her I don't know if I could do it.
I'm tired, more tired. I get winded easier, but it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I'm happy I can still play.
So at an age when most kids are trying to master Super Nintendo, Mike Cook is mastering the game called comeback. The good news is Cook's doctors think he'll make it. In fact, they think it's about 97% now.
The basketball's pushing him. He's going to beat this thing, and he's going to go on to better things.
Now, games are games. Diversion, sure, but something to tap into, and something to remind Mike Cook of what the real important things are and why they matter.
If you don't let it bother you mentally, you can beat it. But if you start getting down on yourself, that's when things might go bad. You just gotta stay mentally strong.
Basketball's not that important. I want my kid, whether he's a lawyer, basketball player, or whatever he decides to do, as long as he's around.
Absolutely, absolutely. So young to have to learn that kind of lesson in life, but one that he is obviously dealing with and handling very well. As we said, the good news is they think they got this thing in time, and that it's about 97% that he's going to make it, and our hearts and prayers are with him. Mike Cook, freshman at Gonzaga High School. Like we said, the priest down there will take care of him. Because Jesuits know how to take care of stuff like that.
I love these stories.
Well, thank you, JC. I appreciate that.
A year ago, we met a young man who was fighting the battle of his life. Well, he has displayed more courage and strength than most of us ever will. We admire him, and we think you will too. Mark Thomas now with the story of Mike Cook.
There was something magical about Gonzaga's Washington Catholic Athletic Conference Championship last year. It wasn't only the way they won, but who they beat. To win the title, the Purple Eagles had to get past the strongest field of teams the league had ever assembled. But as tough as that competition was, there was someone in the program who took on an even tougher opponent, and the stakes were much higher. The summer of 1998 was an exciting time for Michael Cook. He was about to become a freshman at Gonzaga, where he planned on making an impact in football and his first love, basketball.
I was looking forward to coming to school because I saw the basketball rankings. I was like 7th in the area. I was looking forward to, I was going to come in. They told me I was going to start on JV, play varsity as a sophomore, and get good clock.
Little did Michael know that just before his dream was to begin, his life would be changed forever.
I just found it by accident.
It was a lump on his testicles.
And I came up and told my dad about it, and really, we didn't think anything of it. He's like, well, because my physical, I was coming up for my physical anyways for high school sports. So I went for my physical, and the doctor checked me out, and she said it was nothing to worry about. It was just a cyst. Then I didn't think anything of it. I went to 5-star, went to the beach, went on with normal stuff, playing basketball, practicing down here. And then I come back, and it's grown, so they call me in for a sonogram. And then they sit me down the same day and tell me it's a tumor. And they're gonna have to operate in the morning to see if it's cancerous or not.
The news was bad. Michael had testicular cancer.
We were all sitting in the doctor's office together, and you heard cancer, and of course I was listening to the doctor explain what was going to take place, but my first thoughts was, here's my 14-year-old son who is going to die.
At that point, I didn't know anything about cancer, so you hear it's like, I'm gonna die.
The removal of the tumor was just the beginning.
Hello.
After that, he faced 12 months of chemotherapy.
Going through that first treatment, I remember, because I was scared to go to school the next day, so my parents just let me stay home, and I threw up all day. And just, it's like they're putting toxin in you. It's like, why would they be giving this medicine to me if it's making me this sick?
Knowing he had no other choice, Michael's treatments became routine.
Bye. Bye.
What wasn't routine, however, was the way that Michael refused to give up his normal life.
The doctors said it was even incredible for me to be going to school, because they told me about a lot more of their patients that had the same thing as me and weren't in school. They were taking a year off, and they still, when they talk to me, they don't see how I went through a full season of basketball.
And it's basketball that Michael credits with helping him make it through. That and his new family at Gonzaga. At Gonzaga, part of their mission is to teach the youngsters to be men for others. And in the case of Michael Cook, this mission came to life.
Over at the office of admissions, Bill Whitaker, the assistant varsity coach, and Mrs. Junkas, she's been like a mom away from home. Down here, I pretty much live out of her office with my books and stuff last year, and whenever I needed someone to talk to, I could always go to her, Coach Witt, and it was just really nice having a support group.
I'm a huge believer in faith, and things happen for a reason, and you draw strength from a lot of negative things in life, and I think Mike's a perfect example of that, where, you know, he'd wake up after chemo and not feel well. You just try to tell him to keep the faith and understand that we're dealing with a long tunnel and a lot of turns and a lot of ups and a lot of downs, but there's going to eventually be a light at the end of that tunnel, and that, I think all of us can learn from it. I certainly learned an awful lot from Mike.
If something was going bad for me, I realized that I didn't have it so bad, and look at what Michael was going through, and he never complained, and he had the faith and the courage to get through this, and he gave me a lot of inspiration.
They just watched out for him. They watched out for me. They watched out for his brothers. So they became part of the family.
This past September, Michael received his last chemo treatment.
It didn't hit me at first, but that third or fourth week when I didn't have to go back into the doctor's office and get pricked with that needle and inject the stuff and be sick the next day, that's when it kind of hit me, and it was like, it's finally over.
Over, but the effects are still felt. Michael has nerve damage from the chemo, and as much as he might want it to, everything doesn't come back overnight. But there's another lasting effect, and it is especially poignant this time of year. It's called perspective.
Last year, I mean, I'd make comments like when people asked me what I wanted, to not have cancer, and now this year it's like that much more to be thankful for. I just look at life differently now, just going through it. It's like I don't worry about some small things, don't complain a lot, because I mean, I could have complained and moaned and stuff, but it's not going to get you anywhere. You got to deal with it and move on.
It may sound corny, but it's true. That young man is an inspiration to us all. It'll be 3 years before Michael is completely out of the woods, but by what we've seen so far, I like his chances. Mike Cook is a fighter. Well, that's